We've got a humongous leak by Tom Henderson's Insider Gaming on Far Cry 7 and its story details. Now, we've talked a lot about Far Cry 7 and all the rumors, and a lot of them come from Insider Gaming, and this time we've got a massive one over what game engine, what the story details are for the next Far Cry 7. So if you want to hear more about Far Cry 7 and you want to catch up with the latest rumors, go ahead and watch the videos in the description and pinned comment section below. We also cover a lot of other Ubisoft titles like Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell, Prince of Persia, Star Wars, and much more. So the article reads, Insider Gaming has learned new details on Ubisoft's next mainline Far Cry entry following our exclusive report in January. The next game, which we will refer to as Far Cry 7 and is internally known as Project Blackbird, is scheduled to be released in fall 2025. The game will be developed by Ubisoft Montreal and will move away from the Dunia engine to the SNowdrop Engine. Now, the upcoming Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, Star Wars Outlaws, and also the Division games of the past have all used the SNowdrop Engine, which graphically looks really good, and I suppose they want to kind of change things up with the Far Cry series, so a new engine may help them introduce perhaps maybe new features, which we'll get into as we continue to read the article. But it is nice to see that we're going to be kind of getting a fresh look anyway, maybe a slight different feel to the next Far Cry game with it using the SNowdrop engine. I do think all the Far Cry games of the past, even Far Cry 6, the latest one, looked absolutely beautiful. And it seems like the developers have made the decision to make the necessary change for them to move over to a brand new engine, which I'm very excited to see how the next Far Cry game looks and feels. But continuing on with the article, an alleged leak of Far Cry 7 surfaced earlier this year, suggesting that the game will be dubbed Far Cry Rise and will take place on a fictitious tropical island called Kimzon, which can be found in the Yellow Sea next to Korea. Insider Gaming was told by its sources that the leak is entirely inaccurate, so we won't be diving into more pieces of information from this rumor. So anything you heard on Far Cry Rise, take that out of your head right now. Speaking with sources, it's understood that the next entry to the series will be a non-linear story, with the story being centered around rescuing the player's kidnapped family. It was said that the game's plot revolves around a wealthy family that has been kidnapped by a conspiracy group currently called the Sons of Truth. While exact finite details are subject to change due to the game's stage of development, it was said that the premise of the campaign is for the player to rescue their entire family within a specific time frame. Currently, the current in-game timer stands at 72 hours, so that will be ticking down as you play. But this also converts to 24 hours in real time. But the timer can be paused when the player enters one of their safe houses, it was said. Far Cry 7's non-linear story means that the family members do not need to be rescued in order, and some family members can be killed, which has an impact on the story. While details are still a little murky, it's understood that the goal is to take down the Sons of Truth, and in order to complete the game 100%, you'll need to rescue all of your family members safely. To find your family members, it was said that the Far Cry 7 introduces a new interrogation mechanic to the game, which doesn't necessarily mean you'll get the information you need from the enemy. Sometimes the enemy will give up the information, sometimes they'll lie, stay quiet, or even sometimes they will try to escape, it was said. Ubisoft has been sporadic on their game announcements as of late, with the likes of The Division 3 being randomly announced in a PR email, so it's unclear when official information will be released, but we'll be sure to let you know once we hear more. So this actually excites me for Far Cry 7. I was already excited. I am a big fan of the Far Cry series. They have lacked in recent years, but the way I play them, they're kind of like junk food games. So I don't really pay 100% attention to them, except for their big villain cutscenes like Giancarlo Esposito scenes in Far Cry 6 were kind of the only times I was paying attention with his son. And I love those scenes so much. So those are the types of moments I'm looking for in the next Far Cry game too. So what this kind of reminds me of is Far Cry 5. It really gives me that type of vibe with different members of your team. In Far Cry 5, that it was the police department. But this time we're going to have family members, which I hope they get the emotional connection with these family members right. I hope we get to feel that kind of connection with our family members. So I think one of the starting scenes of this game would definitely be spending some quality time with your family, getting to know them before the Sons of Truth raid the house or whatever, raid the mansion, and they start taking family members, and we get an option to maybe even get like a secret ending scene, I'm hoping, for this game. But it seems like the Sons of Truth, just like Far Cry 5's Joseph Seed's family members, it seems like they're going to be different members of the Sons of Truth, and each one will take 1 or 2 members of your family around the map, different sections, and each section will feel unique to the personality of the villain who abducted that family member. Also, let me know in the comment section below, how many family members do you think the main character is going to have? What family members are they going to be? Is it going to be his mom and dad, his wife and kids, brothers and sisters? I'm thinking it's going to be quite a few members. But we've also got this 72-hour in-game time, which converts to 24 hours in real time. Personally, I've never really been a fan of time limits in games. I get stressed out when there's a time limit on my head, but it sounds like a much needed addition for the Far Cry franchise. It also gives the player some sense of urgency to go and help his family, whereas in games like The Witcher 3 or Fallout 4, maybe a timer would have helped, especially in Fallout 4, to kind of create that sense of urgency to go and save your son. But I think 72 hours will be enough time, especially if you want to go and do some side quests, side activities, which I'm sure this game was like towers and enemy base camps to go and clear out. And that's actually an aspect of Far Cry that I really like. I like going out and just testing my new weapons, especially whenever I get upgrades or I get a brand new sniper or brand new bow. I like to go out and do these side activities to go and test them out. But just speculating on this timer, I think going into the end game, once you've done the campaign, the timer will be removed and now you can go out freely and explore the open world without the timer on your head. I think they will incorporate something like that. I can also see some of the post-game content and post-game missions having the timer feature present, and you're going to have to complete the mission within a specific amount of time. So overall, I'm very happy with this brand new addition. If it's true, of course, remember, take all this with a grain of salt. But please let me know in the comment section below, what do you think about this timer? Are you happy? Are you excited to see this kind of feature? And not to forget that when you go into your safe house, it says the timer will be paused, so you've got time to upgrade your weapons, sort out your loadouts, and kind of decide where to go next. Now moving on to the fact that this game is said to be non-linear. I think this was the same approach taken in Far Cry 5. You could do any of the regions at any time, in any order, and each region had its own personality reflective of its main antagonist of that region. I think we're going to see the exact kind of same formula here with this Far Cry 7 game, and it's very, very important for them to nail this character right. I also really like the fact that some of your family members can die and it will impact the story, and I do hope that these deaths feel as if they had weight to them, and this is heavily reliant on the characters' acting and dialogue. I also hope that there are multiple endings depending on how many family members die in this game, and it has some kind of replayability factor, especially with New Game Plus. Moving on to the interrogation mechanic, that is something that I'm very excited to see as well. To try and squeeze out enemy information, maybe using your knife, stabbing a leg. I think your choices are going to matter during interrogations, whether you're pushing the limits too far off your enemy, which causes him to die or pass out. And it kind of feels like you've wasted your time and you've got a timer, so every minute counts. Also, the fact that they could lie and they send you into a trap, I think that will be an amazing situation for the game. And also them trying to escape will be very fun to try to capture them or kill them. Now, these new villains being called the Sons of Truth and the fact that they're a conspiracy group, I guess there's not a lot to go on. It really depends on the actors and performances of this game and who they cast as the main villain. But just from my viewpoint right now, it does really remind me of Far Cry 5. And I really hope that this game doesn't end up feeling too much like Far Cry 5 and the villains really do have some amazing new personalities that we've never really experienced before in a Far Cry game. Remember that this game has a brand new lead director, and it is Drew Holmes, who is the Saints Row writer, and he's become the new director of the Far Cry IP. And he was one of the writers on Saints Row 2, and also Saints Row the 3rd. And I think they're all considered the best in the series. Now, when Drew Holmes was appointed the new IP director of the Far Cry games, he had this to say. It's been an exciting few months. I'm happy to share that I'm starting a new position as IP Director of Far Cry at Ubisoft. We have big things in store. Don't hesitate to reach out if you want to be a part of the next evolution of this great brand. So just from that quote alone, he's talking about evolution, which I think is a big hint to he wants to evolve the Far Cry franchise. So just to run over what we know about Far Cry 7 from this leak, it's a non-linear open world game where you're gonna have to save your kidnapped family members from the conspiracy group called the Sons of Truth. There's going to be a timer over your head of 72 hours in-game time, which translates to 24 hours in real time. The game is going to be developed on the SNowdrop Engine. You can rescue your family members in any order and they could die, which impacts the story. And there's going to be a brand new interrogation mechanic where you're going to be able to extract information from the enemy who could lie, escape, stay quiet, or just give up the information. And the series from now on is being directed by the new IP director of the Far Cry franchise, Drew Holmes. I personally am very excited for this next entry of the Far Cry series, and I think the upcoming Avatar Frontiers of Pandora game is going to give us our first kind of feel of what a Far Cry game is going to feel and kind of look like on the Snowdrop Engine, because looking at the footage of Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, it does very much look like a Far Cry game just with an Avatar skin. And I'm very excited for the Avatar Frontiers of Pandora game. I really am. I don't think a lot of people are talking about it much, to be honest. But as a big fan of the series, I really do hope VAAS makes his way back onto the center stage in maybe the DLC of Far Cry 7, or maybe somehow in the main campaign. He was teased at the end of Far Cry 6 and also Far Cry 6's Stranger Things DLC. And Michael Mando has also said that he is up for returning as VAAS if they can do something new and creative with the character. I was hoping that we could have got a Far Cry 6 spin-off but focused on VAAS set in the island of Yara, but it seems like we are going in a completely new direction with the new IP director. But I feel like that was kind of teased at the end of Far Cry 6 that we were going to be getting a VAAS spin-off game, but the leadership got changed, which I'm still excited for. But I hope somehow we can get VAAS back in the future. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to comment your thoughts on this leak, and go ahead and watch my previous Far Cry videos in the description and pin comment section, as well as my other AAA upcoming rumored games videos. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Peace out, God bless, and I'll see you in one of my next videos. Take care, guys.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my